My name is Dan Johnson, and I should have known better than to fix gutters in a thunderstorm. But that's the thing about being married to Alison. Everything becomes an emergency when it threatens her perfect suburban image. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. The rain hammered down on me as I balanced on the ladder, cursing under my breath. 23 years of marriage, and I'm still the handyman while she plays insurance executive in her climate-controlled office. My phone buzzed in my pocket, probably another honey-do list from Her Majesty. I almost ignored it. Should have ignored it. The text was from an unknown number. Just a photo, no words needed. There was my wife, naked as the day she was born, wrapped around Ray Brewer like a cheap suit. The timestamp showed yesterday, 2:47 p.m., right when she told me she was in a client meeting. I stared at that phone screen until the rain made it impossible to see. Then I climbed down that ladder real slow, like an old man with arthritis. But inside, something young and mean was waking up. Ray Slick Brewer, Alison's boss at Midwest Mutual Insurance, her college boyfriend from way back. The guy she always said was just a friend when he called at odd hours. The same Ray who'd made snide comments about my blue-collar charm at office parties. Funny thing about betrayal, it doesn't hit you like a punch. It seeps in slow, like poison in your bloodstream. First comes the shock, then the hurt, then something else entirely. I walked into our house, the house I'd been fixing up for 2 decades, the house where we'd raised our daughter Tara, and everything looked different. The family photos on the mantel seemed like props in a stage play. The wedding picture on the piano looked like a joke someone forgot to explain. Alison was in the kitchen, still in her power suit, pouring wine like she deserved to celebrate something. "How was the meeting?" I asked, keeping my voice level. She didn't even look up. "Long. Boring. You know how it is?" "Yeah," I said. "I'm learning." That night, I lay in bed next to her, listening to her breathe. She slept like a baby. No guilt, no conscience, just the peaceful slumber of someone who thought she was smarter than everyone else. But I was awake, planning. The next morning, after Alison left for work, I did something I'd never done in 23 years of marriage. I searched through her things. Her gym bag yielded the first treasure, a second phone, pink and shiny, hidden in a side pocket. The password was our anniversary date. Of course it was. Alison never was creative. The messages made my stomach turn. Not just the explicit photos and dirty talk, but the casual cruelty. The way they laughed about me. The way she called me Deadweight Dan and he called me the handyman. The way they planned their little motel meetings around my work schedule. But the real kicker was in her makeup bag. A pregnancy test. Positive. We hadn't been intimate in 6 months. I sat on our bed, my bed, the one I'd built with my own hands, and felt something die inside me. Not my heart. That would have been cleaner. This was my conscience dying. My sense of fair play, my belief that good guys finish first if they just work hard enough. I forwarded every single message and photo from that pink phone to her parents. Every single one. Then I typed up a little love note, supposedly from Ray, talking about how he was going to leave his wife for Alison and their little bundle of joy. I slipped that and the pregnancy test into Ray's company mailbox. Within 2 hours, my phone rang. Ray's voice was shaking with rage. "What did you do?" "I don't know what you're talking about, Ray, but you sound upset. Maybe you should call in sick today." "This isn't over, Johnson." "No," I said, hanging up. "It's just getting started." That evening, I decided to visit Frankie's gym. It's a dive bar attached to a boxing gym on the wrong side of town, the kind of place where men go to hit things and drink beer without their wives asking questions. Ray was there, nursing a whiskey and looking like someone had run over his dog. His custom mouthguard, the one he bragged cost $800, was sitting on the bar next to him. "Hey there, Ray," I said, sliding onto the stool beside him. "Rough day at the office?" He turned to look at me, his face flushed with alcohol and anger. "Stay away from me, Johnson." "Now that's not very friendly. We're practically family, after all. How's the wife taking the news about your little side project?" Ray's hand clenched around his glass. "I don't know what game you're playing, but—" I picked up his precious mouthguard and examined it. $800 for this little piece of plastic? That's more than I make in a week. Of course, I'm just the handyman. Before he could react, I dropped it into the trash can behind the bar. It landed with a satisfying thunk. "Oops," I said. "Butterfingers." Ray lunged for the trash, but I was already walking away. "See you around, Ray. Give my regards to your wife. And mine." I drove home whistling. For the first time in months, I felt alive. Alison was waiting in the driveway when I got there, suitcase in one hand, her face white with fury. "We need to talk," she said. "Sure thing, honey, right after I finish this beer." But as I walked toward the front door, I noticed a black sedan parked across the street. The engine was running, and someone was watching our house. "You bastard," Alison hissed as soon as we got inside. "How could you send those pictures to my parents?" I cracked open a beer and settled into my recliner, the one she'd been nagging me to replace for 3 years. "Pictures? What pictures would those be, sweetheart?" "Don't play dumb with me, Dan. My mother called me crying." "Crying? She saw everything." "Everything like what? Your book club meetings, your yoga classes, your client consultations?" Alison's face went through several interesting color changes. "You violated my privacy. You went through my personal belongings." "Our belongings," I corrected. "Community property state, remember? You explained that to me when you made me sign all those insurance papers." She started pacing, her heels clicking on the hardwood floors I'd refinished last summer. "This is about Ray, isn't it? You're jealous because he's successful, because he can give me things you can't." "Like what? Herpes?" "Because I'm pretty sure that's what that rash is." The color drained from her face. "There's no rash." "Might want to get that checked out. Ray's got quite the reputation around town. Ask Nicole." That stopped her cold. Nicole was her best friend, her maid of honor, her confidant. The look on Alison's face told me my guess had been right on the money. "Nicole wouldn't what? Sleep with your boyfriend? Honey, she's been sleeping with him longer than you have. You're just the latest model." It was a lie, but a good one, the kind that plants seeds in suspicious minds. Alison sank onto the couch, her perfect composure finally cracking. "I want a divorce." "No kidding. What gave it away? The pregnancy test or the motel receipts?" "I never meant for you to find out this way." "What way did you mean? Hallmark card? Skywriting? Maybe a nice dinner at Applebee's?" She looked up at me with something that might have been regret if I was feeling generous. "Dan, we haven't been happy for years. You know that?" "I was happy," I said. "I was happy fixing up this house, happy working on cars, happy coming home to my wife every night. Funny how that works. You were settling. We both were. Maybe. But I wasn't screwing my boss in cheap motels. That night, I moved into the guest bedroom. Not because she asked me to, but because I had work to do. The computer in there had been Tara's before she went off to college. Perfect for my new hobby. Hacking isn't as hard as people think, especially when your target uses the same password for everything. Alison's cloud account opened up like a flower, revealing months of photos, videos, and messages that would make a sailor blush. I created an anonymous Instagram account and started sharing. Nothing illegal, just screenshots and photos that Alison herself had taken. Amazing how fast gossip travels in a town of 12,000 people. By morning, half the town knew about Alison's affair. By noon, the other half was asking for details. My phone rang constantly. Friends, neighbors, even people I barely knew calling to offer sympathy or fish for information. I played the wounded husband perfectly, accepting casseroles and condolences while secretly documenting every conversation. The best call came from Alison's boss. Ray's boss, actually. Apparently someone had sent an anonymous tip about Ray's inappropriate relationship with a subordinate and misuse of company funds for personal entertainment. "I'm sorry to hear about your troubles, Dan," he said, "but I wanted you to know we're taking this very seriously. Professional conduct is important to us at Midwest Mutual." "I appreciate that, Mr. Henderson." Alison always spoke highly of the company's values. By Wednesday, Alison was suspended pending investigation. By Thursday, Ray was demoted to a desk job in the basement. By Friday, I was feeling downright cheerful. That's when I decided to pay them a visit at work. I found them in the parking garage, huddled by Ray's BMW like conspirators, which I suppose they were. Well, I said, walking up with my hands in my pockets. "If it isn't Bonnie and Clyde." Ray stepped protectively in front of Alison. "Get lost, Johnson. Haven't you done enough damage?" "Damage? I haven't done anything but mind my own business. Of course, when my business becomes everyone else's business, things get complicated." "You ruined our lives," Alison said. "We could lose everything." "Everything like what? Your jobs, your reputations, your marriages? Gee, that would be terrible." Ray's face was red with anger. "You're a pathetic loser, Dan. You always have been. That's why she came to me." "Maybe so, but at least I'm not stupid enough to leave evidence all over the internet. Amazing what people share these days. Photos, videos, financial records. I pulled out my phone and showed them a screenshot of Ray's credit card statement. Amazing what you can find when someone's wife gives you access to their shared accounts out of spite. Motel bills, jewelry purchases, weekend trips to Chicago, all on the company card. Tisk, Ray, that's embezzlement. Ray lunged at me, but I was ready. I stepped aside and slammed his car door on his hand. Hard. He screamed and fell to his knees, cradling his crushed fingers. "Oh my God," I said loudly. "Ray, are you okay? That door just swung right into your hand. These German cars, you never know how heavy those doors are." Security guards came running. An ambulance was called. I gave my statement like a concerned citizen who'd witnessed a terrible accident. As they loaded Ray into the ambulance, I leaned close to Alison. "This is just the beginning, sweetheart. You wanted a divorce? Fine. But you're going to earn it." That weekend, our daughter Tara posted a TikTok video that went viral in our little town. In it, she called me a psycho dad and a loser who was ruining Mom's happiness. She got 3,000 likes and hundreds of comments supporting her brave stance. I watched that video sitting in my workshop, surrounded by the tools I'd collected over 23 years of marriage. Tools I'd used to build our deck, fix our cars, repair our appliances. Tools that had kept our family comfortable while Alison climbed the corporate ladder. That's when I decided to stop playing defense. Monday morning, I went to the bank bright and early. Amazing what you can do when you're still on all the accounts. I moved half our savings to a new account in my name only, perfectly legal since it was community property. Then I canceled Alison's credit cards, the ones where I was the primary account holder. Also perfectly legal. By noon, she was calling me in a panic. "Dan, my card was declined at lunch. There must be some mistake." "No mistake, honey. I'm just protecting our assets during this difficult time. Wouldn't want you making any impulsive purchases." "You can't do this." "Actually, I can. Check with your lawyer if you want. Of course, lawyers cost money, and you'll need cash for that." I also made a few other changes. Canceled her car insurance. I was the policyholder, after all. Had her cell phone service disconnected. Removed her name from our utilities. All legal, all justified, all devastating. The town fair was coming up that weekend. I'd been helping set up the sound system for 3 years running, so nobody questioned it when I volunteered again, especially when I mentioned I needed the distraction from my personal troubles. Saturday night, the whole town turned out. Families with kids, teenagers on dates, old folks looking for gossip. The perfect audience. I waited until the crowd was at its biggest, then I made my move. A quick trip to the sound booth, a flash drive loaded with very special audio files, and suddenly Ray's voice was booming across the fairgrounds. "God, Alison, you feel so good. Your husband has no idea what he's missing." The crowd went silent. Then the whispers started. The recording continued, playing excerpts from their steamiest phone calls. Alison's voice joined Ray's, saying things that would make a porn star blush. I watched from the crowd as Alison pushed through the people, trying to reach the sound booth. But I'd locked it from the inside and slipped out the back. By the time she got there, the damage was done. The best part? Everything I'd played was from their own phones, their own words, their own choices. Sunday morning brought even better news. Ray's wife had filed for divorce and cleaned out their joint accounts. She'd also sent copies of everything to Ray's remaining bosses at Midwest Mutual. Ray was officially fired for moral turpitude and embezzlement. Alison's parents had cut off all contact and removed her from their will. The whole family was treating her like she had leprosy. But the real cherry on top came from Nicole. She showed up at my door Sunday evening, mascara running, clutching a bottle of wine. "Dan, I need to tell you something. About Alison, about Ray, about all of this." I let her in and poured her a drink. Sometimes the best revenge is just listening. "I set them up," she sobbed. "I introduced them at that company party last year. I knew Ray was a player. I knew he'd go after her." "Why would you do that to your best friend?" Nicole's laugh was bitter. "Best friend? She stole you from me, Dan, back in college before you ever met her. We were dating, remember? Then she showed up at that party in her little black dress, and suddenly you forgot I existed." I did remember. Nicole and I had dated for a few months sophomore year. Nothing serious, just college fun. But Alison had swept me off my feet with her ambition and her plans for our future together. "I've been waiting 24 years to get back at her," Nicole continued. "I thought if she cheated on you, you'd leave her, and maybe we could try again." "So you set up your best friend to be humiliated and destroyed?" "I didn't know you'd be so thorough about it." She looked up at me with red-rimmed eyes. "You've become someone else, Dan. Someone scary." "No," I said. "I've just stopped pretending to be someone I'm not." After Nicole left, I sat in my workshop and planned the endgame. Alison, Ray, and Nicole had all betrayed me in different ways. They'd used me, lied to me, and tried to make me the fool in their little drama. Time to show them what a real fool looked like. The old fairgrounds sat empty most of the year, a collection of rusted rides and abandoned booths that the town council kept promising to renovate. It was the perfect place for a private conversation. I sent each of them the same message. Meet me at the fairgrounds tonight at 10 p.m. Come alone. We need to settle this. They all showed up. Of course they did. Guilty people always think they can talk their way out of trouble. The rain had started again, turning the dirt paths into mud. I waited by the old Ferris wheel, hands in my pockets, watching them approach from different directions. Alison arrived first, picking her way carefully across the uneven ground in her expensive heels. Ray came next, his hand still bandaged from our parking garage encounter. Nicole brought up the rear, looking like she'd rather be anywhere else. "Well," I said when they'd formed a little semicircle around me, "isn't this cozy? Like a reunion." "Dan," Alison started, "we need to talk about what? Your affair, your pregnancy, your plan to take me for everything I'm worth in the divorce?" Ray stepped forward, trying to look tough despite his injured hand. "You're done, Johnson. We're pressing charges. Harassment, stalking, assault." "Assault?" I laughed. "You mean when you accidentally got your hand caught in your car door? That assault? You know what you did." "I know what I can prove, and right now I can prove that you embezzled company funds to pay for your affair with my wife. I can prove that Nicole here orchestrated the whole thing out of jealousy. And I can prove that my dear wife has been planning to divorce me and take half of everything I've worked for." Nicole's face went white. "How did you know about your little revenge plot? Please, you think I'm stupid? You've been dropping hints about Alison's suspicious behavior for months. You practically gift-wrapped the evidence and left it on my doorstep." I pulled out my phone and showed them the screen. "Smile, everyone. We're live on Facebook." All three of them turned to look at the phone, then at each other, panic spreading across their faces. "That's right," I continued. "The whole town is watching. Say hello to your audience." Alison lunged for the phone, but I stepped back and she slipped in the mud, falling hard on her designer suit. "Careful, honey. Wouldn't want to hurt the baby." "Oh wait, there is no baby, is there?" Ray helped Alison to her feet, both of them now covered in mud. "What are you talking about?" "The pregnancy test. I bought it myself. Positive tests are easy to fake when you know what you're doing. I just wanted to see how you'd all react when the stakes got higher." Nicole was backing away, shaking her head. "You're insane. This whole thing? It's insane." "Insane? I'm not the one who spent 24 years plotting revenge against my best friend. I'm not the one who embezzled money to pay for motel rooms. And I'm not the one who threw away a 23-year marriage for a few afternoons of excitement." The rain was coming down harder now, and police sirens wailed in the distance. Someone must have called them about the disturbance. "Here's what's going to happen," I said, raising my voice over the storm. "Alison, you're going to sign divorce papers that give me the house and half of everything else. Ray, you're going to disappear from our lives forever. And Nicole, you're going to explain to everyone exactly how you manipulated this whole situation." "And if we don't?" Ray challenged. I smiled. Then I released the rest of the evidence. The financial records, the hotel receipts, the photos, the videos, everything. Your wife might forgive you for cheating, Ray, but will she forgive you for stealing money to do it? And Nicole, how do you think your boyfriend will react when he finds out you've been obsessing over another woman's husband for 2 decades? The police cars were getting closer. I could see their lights flashing through the trees. "Choose quickly," I said. "Your reputation or your freedom." Alison was crying now, mascara running down her muddy cheeks. "Dan, please, we can work this out. We can go to counseling. We can—" "Work it out," I laughed. "Honey, I am working it out. My way." The police arrived just as I was pocketing my phone. I'd ended the live stream, but not before half the town had seen my cheating wife covered in mud, begging for forgiveness. "Evening, officers," I said pleasantly. Just having a conversation with my wife and her friends. The annual Riverside Block Party was the social event of the year in our little town. Main Street closed to traffic, local bands played on a makeshift stage, and everyone came out to see and be seen. It was supposed to be next weekend, but I had other plans. I'd spent the week since the fairgrounds confrontation making final preparations. Alison had moved in with her sister across town. Ray had left for Chicago, claiming he had job prospects there. Nicole was avoiding everyone, including her boyfriend, who'd started asking uncomfortable questions. But I wasn't done with them yet. The beauty of small-town politics is that everyone knows everyone. The mayor owed me a favor. I'd rewired his house for free last spring. The police chief's son worked at my garage. The head of the festival committee was my neighbor, so when I suggested moving the block party up a week to help heal the community after recent troubles, everyone thought it was a wonderful idea. Saturday afternoon, Main Street filled with families and food trucks. The high school band played patriotic songs while kids ran around with cotton candy. It was perfect. I waited until the crowd was at its biggest, then I walked up to the microphone during the band's break. "Ladies and gentlemen, can I have your attention, please?" The crowd turned toward the stage. I saw familiar faces, neighbors, co-workers, friends I'd known for decades. People who'd watched me grow up, get married, raise a family. Most of you know me, Dan Johnson. I've lived in this town my whole life, worked here, raised my daughter here, and I want to share something with all of you today. I pulled out a thick folder of papers. These are documents that tell a story about betrayal, about lies, about people who smile to your face while stabbing you in the back. In the crowd, I spotted Alison near the back, her face pale with horror. She started pushing through the people, trying to reach the stage. "My wife of 23 years has been having an affair with her boss," I announced. "But that's not the interesting part. The interesting part is how it all started." I opened the folder and began reading from Nicole's tearful confession, the one she'd given me that night at my house. Nicole Martinez, Alison's maid of honor and supposed best friend, orchestrated this affair as revenge for something that happened in college 24 years ago. The crowd was dead silent now. Even the kids had stopped running around. She introduced my wife to a known philanderer, knowing exactly what would happen. She fed him information about our marriage, our problems, our schedules. She even helped them find places to meet. I saw Nicole in the crowd now, frozen like a deer in headlights. Her boyfriend was standing next to her, his face a mask of confusion and anger. But Ray Brewer, the other man in this triangle, he's got his own secrets. Embezzlement, fraud, multiple affairs with other employees. My wife wasn't his first victim, just his latest. Alison had almost reached the stage now, but the crowd was too thick. People were pulling out their phones, recording everything. And my wife? I looked directly at her across the sea of faces. She threw away 23 years of marriage, a family, a home, for a few hours of excitement with a man who was already planning to dump her for someone younger. Alison finally broke through the crowd and rushed the stage. "Dan, stop this. Please." I stepped back from the microphone as she climbed the stairs. "Stop what? Telling the truth? This isn't the truth. It's revenge." Sometimes they're the same thing. Ray appeared from somewhere in the crowd, his face flushed with anger. He jumped onto the stage, his injured hand making him clumsy. He snarled, "I'll sue you for everything you've got." "With what money? Last I heard, you were unemployed and facing criminal charges." Ray swung at me with his good hand. I ducked easily, and his momentum carried him into the microphone stand. It crashed to the ground with a screech of feedback. The crowd gasped and surged backward. Nicole pushed forward, tears streaming down her face. "Stop it," she screamed. "All of you, just stop." She climbed onto the stage, her voice breaking. "You want the truth? I'll give you the truth. I did set them up. I wanted to hurt Alison because she took Dan away from me in college. I've been jealous of her perfect life for 24 years. The crowd was eating it up, phones recording from every angle. This would be on social media within minutes, shared and reshared until everyone in 3 counties knew the story. "I'm sorry," Nicole continued, looking directly at her boyfriend in the crowd. "I'm sorry I lied to you. I'm sorry I used you. I'm sorry I'm such a pathetic, jealous witch." Her boyfriend turned and walked away without a word. Half the crowd followed him, disgusted by the spectacle. Ray tried to grab the microphone, but I got there first. "Ladies and gentlemen," I said, my voice carrying across the remaining crowd, "you've heard confessions from 2 of the guilty parties. Now let me tell you what I've learned about marriage, about trust, about the people we think we know." I looked at Alison, who was standing at the edge of the stage like she wanted to run. I learned that love isn't enough if it's one-sided. I learned that trust, once broken, can't be repaired with apologies. And I learned that sometimes good people do bad things when they're pushed too far. I pulled out my wedding ring and held it up so everyone could see it. 23 years ago, I promised to love, honor, and cherish this woman. I kept that promise even when she stopped keeping hers. I threw the ring into the crowd. Someone caught it, but I didn't see who. I also learned that revenge is a dish best served publicly. The police were pushing through the crowd now, responding to reports of a disturbance. But I was already walking off the stage, my work finally complete. Behind me, Alison was crying, Ray was shouting threats, and Nicole was being comforted by strangers who didn't know her secrets yet. I walked through the crowd of my neighbors and friends, accepting pats on the back and words of support. Some people looked at me with fear, others with admiration. A few looked at me like I was a stranger. Maybe I was. At the edge of the crowd, I turned back to look at the stage one last time. Alison was standing alone now, her perfect composure finally shattered. Ray had disappeared into the crowd, probably looking for a way out of town. Nicole was sitting on the stage steps, her head in her hands. 3 lives destroyed. 3 people who thought they were smarter than everyone else, brought low by their own choices. I felt no satisfaction, no joy, no sense of victory. Just a cold, empty feeling where my heart used to be. But I felt no regret either. I walked to my truck, got in, and drove home to the house I'd built with my own hands. The house that was finally, truly mine. Funny thing about bad luck. Sometimes you make your own.